Anchor Church, welcome to Palm Sunday edition of Going Deeper. Today starts just such an amazing week as we look forward towards what happens 1 week from today, the resurrection of Jesus that we're so excited to celebrate on Easter. But Palm Sunday is a significant event as well, the triumphal entry of Jesus into Jerusalem. And we had an amazing day on Sunday talking through this content, and the point of this video, as always, is to take Sunday's content and provide you some discussion questions to take that content and make it more personal and to go deeper with that content. You can do this alone, but it's much better if you have a conversation with somebody else. We grow best when we grow together. But the triumphal entry, Jesus hopping on a donkey and riding into Jerusalem with this fanfare of celebration, of victory, of robes being thrown in front of him and palm branches, and just this exciting scene as Jesus walks into Jerusalem. We talked about how this is at the beginning of Passover celebration, and it's where all the Jewish community was converging on Jerusalem to celebrate. And so as they're getting closer and closer to Jerusalem, more and more traffic on the roads is happening. And so a really simple, lighthearted first question today is, what is your relationship with traffic? Some people think that North Reserve is just like the worst thing possible, can't handle traffic at all. Some people coming from bigger cities say like that's not traffic at all. But what level of traffic really frustrates you as all the vehicles are converging? On a more serious note, we talked about 3 ways that we can express our worship to God. And first off was uncomfortable obedience, that these disciples were sent to go untie this donkey and bring it to Jesus. And this is not the miraculous, this is pretty mundane, but also takes a lot of faith and obedience and discomfort. And believing that one way that we express our worship to God, as demonstrated through this Palm Sunday, is through obeying, even when it is sometimes uncomfortable or inconvenient. What does it mean to express our worship that way? So I want to ask you, how are you expressing worship to God through uncomfortable obedience? Maybe another way to consider it is God asking me to obey in a way that is uncomfortable, that I've been resistant towards? We live in such a culture that's all about our comfort. And to be honest, it has infiltrated church culture, and it's something still inside of me working through. How do I obey regardless of the comfort level? Am I participating in a church regardless of comfort level? Like, I'm here to express the worthiness of God, and one amazing way is through obedience, even uncomfortable. So how can we grow in that as a church? We talked about the owners of these donkeys actually allowed the donkeys to be taken for Jesus to ride in on so that all of Jerusalem could see and celebrate Jesus. And the question we posed is, what am I willing to contribute so that my community will see Jesus? It's a question I really want you to consider. What are you willing to contribute so that your community will see Jesus? Maybe you could already consider, how am I contributing? I know so many people are serving and are inviting and are praying and are giving. But what does it look like? What have you done to contribute? And then maybe what would God be calling you to do to contribute so that our community can see Jesus? It's just an amazing opportunity that we get to participate in the arrival of Jesus and the building of his church. We talked about how it is an honor and it is a privilege that Jesus would use us and allow us to use our time, our effort, our energy, our resources as a privileged participant in his arrival in our community. So I just want you to consider this question. How do you treat opportunities of privilege? If you are privileged to be in a certain situation, a certain conversation, a certain atmosphere, how do you treat them? We treat it differently. We step it up a notch, that we've got an excitement, an expectation. We honor that situation because we're privileged to be there. And I'm convinced that it is a privilege to be carriers of the gospel. It is a privilege to be contributors to the church, to opportunities for people to hear about the goodness of God. And it is a privilege to express our worship, because if we don't, the rocks are going to do it. So we have the privilege of expressing worship. And so how do you consider privilege in your life? And then the follow-up question is, do you treat worship that way? Do you treat both in song and in corporate worship, but also the individual worship of obeying when it's uncomfortable, of contributing your resources, of laying down your identity, as we talked about these 3 points today? Do I consider that a privilege? Do I lean in with expectation, with excitement that this is an honor, or does it feel more like a duty or an obligation? I want to tell you, it is a privilege to worship God. It is a privilege to participate in the building of His church. It is a privilege to obey Him. It is a privilege to contribute our resources to what He is doing. And because His love is better than life, we will live lives of worship, and we will corporately gather and worship. My final question to you today in this Going Deeper is, who are you bringing to Easter? We don't just invite, we bring. There is room for more. We got 2 services, 9 and 11. So that means we got more space. So bring somebody with you. I love you, Anchor Church. I'm so excited for Easter weekend. We got Thursday, Last Supper service, 6 o'clock, online only. Good Friday service, 6 o'clock, online only. We're setting up Saturday night at 7 p.m. at City Life. And then we are celebrating Resurrection Sunday next week at 9 and 11, in person and online. I love you, Anchor Church. We will see you at Easter.